Hello, and welcome to my blockout of a Fall Guys 60-person race level. Fall Guys, in my opinion, is everything that a party multiplayer game should be. Fall Guys is a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. You play the game once and understand what it's all about, and because the game mechanics are simple, even new players have fun playing. In this project, I challenged myself to create a level with an emphasis on fun and player interaction. In my research, I found that the game mechanics were simple, and this allows for entry-level players to have fun as soon as they start playing. Levels can provide more challenging routes for the better players, but these are balanced so that all players still have a chance of winning. Race levels hold up to 60 players and end when enough players have crossed the finish line. Physics-based objects make the levels more chaotic and unpredictable. I think that this is a smart way of ensuring that reruns of the same level stay interesting and that the most skillful player does not always win. Players also bump into each other, leading to further chaos. Race levels are often split into sections where the player will face a different challenge in each section. These are marked by clear checkpoints which allow the player a quick respawn, and this is key to them enjoying failure and not wanting to quit. Using this research, I set myself some design goals for my level. I wanted to design a level that would be easy to access and enjoy for first time players. I wanted them to be able to play the level and understand exactly what they needed to do, and to be able to have fun almost right away. The main mechanic I wanted to use on my level was the physics-based contact the players have with obstacles and other competing players. Part of the reason I chose this as my main mechanic was that I wanted to encourage players to have fun and laugh at their own failures. In my own experience, physically interacting with friends, if that's trying to help them or even trying to sabotage them, always gave me great joy when I was playing party games. I wanted to base my level off one consistent theme, and for the duration of my level to last no longer than 5 minutes. So, to decide on my theme, I started to collect references. I thought about how much I enjoyed charging around soft play areas as a kid, and how similar it was to Fall Guys. As I started to look at bouncy castles and soft play areas as a potential theme, I came across my main inspiration behind my levels, these giant inflatable obstacle courses. I loved the idea of running through these, bouncing off every single wall. I thought having a bouncy floor would be a unique challenge in Fall Guys, and I thought about how much fun my friends and I would have had racing through these, bumping into each other as kids. I wanted a fun way for players to travel between the main obstacles, and that's when I thought about slip and slides. I thought these would be fun to traverse and would work well with the physics-based contact system. Okay, so now I'll take some time to break down my level design. I'll explain my design decisions and highlight how I believe I've achieved my design goals. Here at the start of the level, I use these bouncy pillars to bottleneck players, forcing them into contact with each other. I decided to do this as soon as possible to introduce the players to their main obstacle in this level, each other and bouncy walls. I've also framed the entrance to the first obstacle course. This was to give new players a clear idea of where they needed to go right from the very start. Players are then introduced to the first slip and slide of the level. Players will naturally pick up speed and crash at the bottom, but more experienced players will learn that if they dive down, they will pick up more speed. The crash out of the bottom opens up to allow players to escape from one another. As players recover, they will see that they have a choice between two paths. They will make their grand entrance into the inflatable obstacle course by bursting through these breakable walls. The two paths provide two smaller spaces. This means that the slower path will be the one that is the most congested. This is another example of how an experienced player can gain a slight advantage by taking the less congested route. Just like an inflatable obstacle course, all the walls and obstacles are bouncy. The floor is also bouncy, and the players are faced with some basic moving obstacles. Although the players have been separated, I still wanted them to be aware of how the opposition is doing, so I created this transparent wall to connect the players by sight. To progress, players must jump through these hoops. Experienced players will learn that it is easier to dive through them. The first player that passes through these hoops will trigger these balls to fall into the area. These will bounce around, colliding with each other and players, creating a chaotic, unpredictable environment. Players must make their way past a rotating obstacle, then they have completed the first section of the level and reached the first checkpoint. This first section of the level should be enjoyable for all levels of player. To complete it, players only need to move forward and jump, and the chaos of players bumping into each other and obstacles will give new players a good chance of competing. Experienced players will also feel like that they can still gain a slight advantage for the reasons that I've mentioned previously. As players approach the second section of the level, they will again be presented with a choice of two directions to take. From this location, where the players respawn, they can also just about make out the likely exit of the maze they're about to go through. This is to help new players orientate themselves and not feel lost and overwhelmed. Both paths of the maze are the same, so again it's about picking the less congested path. All the walls in the maze are bouncy and the lanes are narrow, so players will be colliding, trying to climb over each other to get out of the maze first. I designed the maze to be simple because I wanted the main feature to be players colliding with each other. The quickest routes are booby-trapped with falling floors. Players that fall through these will quickly respawn and try a different route. I've used transparent walls so players can see when an opponent has taken the correct route, and the exit of the maze frames the final stage of the level, making it obvious to players that they have completed the maze and know which direction to continue in. Players exit the maze and pass the final checkpoint. To reach the final stage of the level, players have a short climb up a slip and slide. There are no obstacles, but this path is slightly narrower so players will collide, making the climb harder. I intentionally used the slip and slide to slow players down this time to produce more satisfaction in the next part. When the players complete the climb, the space opens up and they are presented with 4 paths to take. Each path has an escalator that will speed up the players' movement. Players who make it through without colliding with anything or anyone will have a greater momentum and move faster down the giant slip and slide the other side. As players shoot out of the escalator paths, they will have a high-speed, fun ride down to the finish line. These bouncy obstacles in the way will slow them down, but will not completely ruin their forward momentum. So, there you have it, the full breakdown and reasoning behind my design decisions. I'm really happy with how the level has turned out, and I believe that I've done a good job at achieving my design goals. I've used framing techniques to help guide the players through the level. Players require a low skill level to pass the obstacles, but is still presented with the challenge of avoiding collisions. These reasons, I believe that my level allows first-time players and experienced players to enjoy playing it. I believe I achieved my goal of focusing on player interaction by changing player spaces from narrow to wide and providing multiple paths with transparent walls so players are always connected by sight. And finally, to try and make failure fun, I modelled the level against the feelings of my own enjoyment I have when I think about running through soft play obstacles and bumping into my friends. Quick respawns stop players getting discouraged and allow them to bounce back quickly. I'd just like to note that I've been unable to test the level with multiple participants, so there is a chance that I would need to either scale the level bigger or even smaller in certain places. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. It was a project I really enjoyed working on and one that I have learnt a lot from. Thanks again for your time and have a great day.